What's up, Taiwan? I'm Ethan Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A Taiwanese Frontline island located just a few kilometers off China's coast is preparing for civil defense drills. These trainings on Nangan include raising readiness in case of emergencies, natural disasters, and an attack from neighboring China. Bing Wang reports.
First responders put out a fire on Taiwan's outlying island of Nangan, about 20 kilometers off the shores of China. It's not a real emergency. These people are participating in civil defense exercises. The annual series of drills include preparing for natural disasters. But this year, there were also defense exercises against warfare in case of an attack by China.
紧张也无济于事嘛。那这个的意义的话，就是应该说让大家都保持警戒，这样子，就是不要说生活一天一天过，可能就好像就松懈下来这样。
China claims Taiwan as part of its own territory and has not ruled out the use of force to take the country. That's despite the Communist Party of China never ruling Taiwan nor its outlying islands.
我们要做民安的演习，当然就是希望平时多准备，战时少伤害。目前两岸的情势如果发展在比较升温的时候，我相信我们每一个编组的同仁都知道它的位置跟地区的所有物资的状况是如何。真正开始发生的时候，我们就可以发挥它的效果。
This year's drills come at a time of increased tensions across the Taiwan Strait, where Nangan is situated. China just wrapped up 3 days of military exercises around Taiwan in response to Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen's recent meeting in California with U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Nangan's proximity to the Chinese mainland means Taiwan's government is shoring up military strategy on the island.
在战事发生的时候，部队负责作战，我们负责做后援的动作，也就是自己的生命自己救。 自己的家园自己建的这种观念，希望透过我们的能量或物质，对作战有所帮助。
By the end of these civil defense trainings, citizens should be better prepared to face any kind of disaster, whether it be a fire, a major injury, or a Chinese attack. Kaohsiung and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
A Taiwan-based Chinese publisher who is said to have been detained in China is safe. That's according to Taiwan's government. Li Yanhe, also known as Fu Cha, is the managing editor of Gusa Press. The publishing house has released numerous books critical of China's ruling Communist Party. According to Chinese poet and dissident Bai Ling, Li was secretly arrested while visiting Shanghai in March. Bai says he hasn't heard from Li since then. Taiwanese officials say they're keeping close contact with Li's family, but they cannot release any more details at this time. Taiwanese chip-making giant TSMC will make chips using advanced 4-nanometer technology at its factory under construction in Kaohsiung. TSMC said on Thursday that its original plan was to make chips with the more mature 28-nanometer process. The demand for the older chips, however, dropped quickly after it began work on the Kaohsiung plant last year. It says its plant factory in Japan will still use 28-nanometer technology. The announcement also curbs recent speculation that TSMC is slowing domestic production after the company postponed the Kaohsiung factory plan last week. A new exhibit examining how war has become normalized for people in Ukraine, particularly women, opened in New Taipei on Friday. Leslie Liao was there to get a closer look.
A new normal. That's what Russia's invasion has become for Ukrainians. It's something that even Ukrainians living in places as far away as Taiwan can feel, despite not being on the ground.
People in Ukraine, they keep living their life, they keep going to work every day, and they just so used to it.
Life goes on and you can't live under the constant stress. Otherwise, you'll just lose your mind. So people at least try to pretend the life is going on, the life is normal, the life continues as it was before the war.
A new exhibit in New Taipei seeks to showcase that sentiment. When the temporary becomes the ordinary, examines how people in Ukraine have grown used to Russia's invasion through the lens of the women living through it. It looks at women's roles and narratives during the war. One of the groups behind the show is a coalition of Ukrainians in Taiwan called Ukrainian Voices.
作为乌克兰人，我觉得这个展览更加有意义，因为它是可以给那些没有机会被听到的声音提供这样的一个机会，尤其是为那些我们在此也听不到的声音。
These are the voices of Ukraine, of Ukrainian women, of victims of the war, of Ukrainian community in Taiwan. Just a lot of voices and representation of what Ukrainians feel these days.
The exhibit debuted on Friday at Taiwan's National Human Rights Museum. It's organized in collaboration with Ukraine's Museum of Women and Gender History. Taiwan's culture minister attended the opening. He made it a point to be there because he said, in many ways, Taiwan has much to learn from Ukraine.
我也希望这个我们文件馆这边能够多方能够让台湾人民除了关怀关心之外，其实它就像一面镜子，我们要面对我们自己的前途。
Like Ukraine, Taiwan faces threats from a much larger neighbor. China claims Taiwan as part of its territory despite having never governed the democratic country. Beijing regularly says it will not rule out the use of force to bring Taipei under its control. The exhibit reveals the toll war takes on a country's population and how it has no choice but to adapt. For the organizers, the parallels between Ukraine and Taiwan's plight make Taipei the ideal location for this collection to be shown. Patrick Sun and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
The White House, 10 Downing Street, the Elysee Palace, official residences are usually homes for country leaders alone. But in Taiwan, the government has a different idea. Steshbala reports.
It's not your typical vacation. Stay a night at Taiwan's presidential office, make a video about it, and maybe even meet the president herself. Taiwan's government has given influencers a chance to do just that. It aims to boost tourism after COVID and put Taiwan on the international stage.
期待这个活动让经过疫后蜕变更美好的台湾能够让世界看见。
All the guards are preparing back there. It's going to be really cool.
It's the second time Taiwan's running the event after a first run in 2019. The organizers, which include TaiwanPlus, say the videos from that year got over 30 million impressions on social media. After a break over the pandemic, applications for this year opened on Friday, and they'll stay open till the end of June. 10 winners don't get paid for their video, and flights are not covered, but they do get a free night in the building, plus a night elsewhere. Judges are urging people to apply.
It's an amazing building. You never get a chance to spend the night in the White House, but you can spend it here in Taiwan. So.
It may not be the White House, but organizers here are hoping that the building's grand surroundings will grab people's attention and, more importantly, get them to Taiwan, because for international tourism here, it's been a tough few years. The number of tourists arriving in Taiwan peaked at over 800,000 a month before dropping off a cliff as Taiwan closed its borders. International tourism stayed at essentially zero until October last year when the country reopened. Visitor numbers are still well below their pre-COVID level. But it's not just about tourism. The presidential office is the heart of Taiwan's government. Inviting people here sends a message. Taiwan may not be part of the UN, but it is a country with its own leaders, government, and democratic way of life. Authorities here want influencers to help lift Taiwan onto the international stage. They're betting Taiwan's military standoff with China and the considerable cost of making the flight won't keep people away. Andy Xue and Stash Butler in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images from the opening night of the 2023 Penghu International Firework Festival in Taiwan. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care, and I'll see you next time.